So this is interesting. So we've got the grill shell back to do some sanding on it. So that's been copper dipped a heap, obviously, because we want to try and get it as nice as possible. So isn't it interesting how all that crap builds up on there? So it's been really, really heavily dipped. So yeah, I'm going to sand it back and try and bring it back to get rid of as many marks as possible, and then obviously it may need to be done again. Well, apparently we can maybe fill a solder too, see how bad it is, because it was really badly pitted, but it's obviously been filled up. It's actually quite a bit heavier than it used to be, so it'll be interesting. We give it a bit more, give it a clean up, see what it looks like. But you can see all the build up on it. Ain't crazy. I've never sort of seen it in a state sort of like this, you know what I mean? But anyway, I think I might find some. I think I might just go right back to 220, I think, on a block, and sand this back so at least it can go back, and then see if we can get a bit further. It's the same sort of thing, but this is almost ready to polish, but I've got a little bit more to do on it. So yeah, but maybe we play with this. So yeah, we're trying to save this radiator shell. I may have to just, I don't know, knock all this off the file or something crazy. But anyway, we'll work it out. crap. That shit is hard. Wish I didn't go quite so gung-ho at the time, you know. That's a lot of work to get off. A few coats and block it back. A few coats and block it back might have been a better way to do it. Instead of just trying to fill it up and then it's not as though it's freaking, you know, body filler. Madness. I made a dent on it, but freaking not much of one. Yeah, well, okay. This is going to take some work. I envisioned when they were going to repeatedly dip it, that they would clean it up around the edges and bits and pieces and keep it manageable to work on. Man, they've got that much shit on there. I've been sanding this fucking thing for 2 hours and you can still see it's that hard. I didn't think it would actually be that hard, but it's that hard. Like, you can see we're still only trying to break through this crap, because what it does, it just destroys the sandpaper. I've ended up having to find every one of these frickin' things that I had floating around that was half used, but still had a little bit left, and I've used every frickin' one. That was the last new one I had, and it just fucking tears them to pieces. And they're like, I don't know, 60 grits or 40 grits. So I'm going to have to find some more to try and pull it back. I've tried using a body file too. That does work, but it's friggin' heck. Like, I used the die grinder with the Rolex on it to try and get some of the shit back off here, and I end up destroying them. Like, as you would have just seen, I used the grinder to try and grind some of this shit away, just to get it back to a half decent level. They've kind of made it very difficult to make. Like, it'll happen, but it's just going to take so much work. Would have been better off to dip it 3 or 4 times, clean it up, take it back, dip it 3 or 4 times, clean it up, bring it back, just to try and keep it manageable. Just try and fill these holes without having to sand like so much away. You know what I mean? Like, I've worked this with a DA, and it is good. I think there's probably enough, because I haven't actually touched steel anywhere. And I've been grinding the crap out of some of these edges and shit, just trying to get it back, where it's not all freaking built up like this. It's freaking mad. Anyway, I'm just trying to think on what I'm going to do. I actually wish these things that Ironhead freaking Garage freaking sent me. Down here, these. I actually almost wish I could use these to freaking knock it back. But this thing won't fit on my grinder. I'm half tempted to see if I can find a bolt, a 5/8 bolt that I can screw in there, and drill it out to like 10mm and go fucking borrow a grinder with a 10mm shaft in it, like a 4-inch one, and just run it on that. So I've actually got something fairly heavy that's flat, that I can just run over that to try and take some material off, because it's so thick. Like you can see the ground there is freaking just covered in copper. But that would be alright, because I could, if I could run it flat, I better get quite a bit off. I better actually get some material off it. Now, if I blow freaking half a dozen these away, it doesn't really worry me, but if I can just get some thickness off, I don't care if I come down to steel and we're going to put more copper on it or fill it up, but it's just nice to get some freaking material off it. It's so freaking hard. I didn't actually think copper would be quite so hard to sand, but it is when it's like this. But anyway, yeah. We'll keep battling, I guess. I think it's going to be I think once I get to a certain level, it's probably not going to be so bad, because it'll polish up a bit like the brass. But it's to get it down to the point where I can get past, like 80 grit. Like this stuff here, like I just rub it over and it just destroys it. The grit's gone off it in like 3 passes. It's just hopeless. So it'd be nice to just get it to the point where I can get past sort of, yeah, some 80 or some 220, and then I can actually do it, wet sand it, and it'll keep it lubricated, and we can probably get it polished up. But so at least then it can be dipped one more time and then nickeled, if you know what I mean, and we can actually get a nice flat coating on it. But yeah, we'll carry on. Righty guys, so man, there's some freaking copper in this thing. I think they probably put too much, but I've just come through the steel there. But I've managed to get rid of all the pitting along here, I think. We'll find out when we give it another DA. It probably looks pretty aggressive using a flappy wheel on a grinder, but it seems to be the only thing that actually pulls it down and trying to get some of the thickness off it so I can get rid of the pitting that we've put the copper on there to fill. And it's working, but it's, yeah, like that's the only spot I've touched steel around there. And I was seeing the sparks come off it, so I knew that I was, you know, that I was coming up to steel. But yeah, like I can keep grinding here a bit more. Like there was a big massive hole in here, which is now just a little mark. So like, yeah, there was so much copper put on it, it was almost probably too much. They reckon they sanded in between layers. I don't reckon they did it all. I reckon they just keep filling it up. But yeah, like, so we're going to try and get rid of all this out of here. And it is coming. Like I will get it all. You know, I think there's probably enough on there. Like there's a few little marks in here, but I haven't touched copper through there yet. But I think, you know, we'll get rid of everything, you know, and I don't mind if we break through to steel. It doesn't matter. It's like body filler. That's all the copper is. It's basically body filler, but it's got to be copper because it's got to be nickeled. Now, if you're going to paint it, well, you wouldn't worry about it. You just slather it in body filler and knock it off and paint it. But we probably could have powder coated it, but you know, but we've got to get rid of all the marks out of it that we put the copper on to fill up. And so obviously it's built up in those layers and it's just built up around it, and it hasn't actually closed the craters off, so they'll just keep putting it on. And if they'd knocked it off, they probably would have only had about half it on, I reckon. There's a shitload of copper in there. Like I ground a crap load off there, you can see it on the floor. So yeah, they probably got a bit heavy and a bit excessive, but it is going to end up alright. It just looks crazy freaking having to grind it off, but it seems the only thing that works to actually get it off and get it down to a level where you can actually come back to the DA and try and smooth it out. And the main reason why I keep switching back to the DA is make sure that I'm not actually digging holes in it. So I'll just run over with the DA and make sure that it is still basically flat, and then just keep running it over. I'm not using much weight on it at all. I'm just using it to keep knocking it next layer off and next layer off, to slowly bring it down. That's all I can do. So yeah, I'll just keep going and we'll get it down to some point. Worst thing is now I've got to go around and try and clean all this shit up. Like, we didn't have to worry about that, but they put so much copper on it, it's all built up around there too, so I'm going to have to try and get rid of some of it, clean it up, smooth it out. You know, I've got to try and get into here, clean it up and smooth it out, whereas I probably didn't have to worry so much about that before either, but now it's that built up and now I'm going to have to do all this as well, so it's going to be a lot of work to get it all smoothed and cleaned out, but we'll get it. I've got some little, some of those little rolls for this sand, like for a DA and, or it's just, well, not the DA, the die grinders. I've got those little flappy rolls. Hopefully one of those will work in here a bit to try and help smooth it out. And then we can, once we start sanding, and then we can get down to a point where we can actually wet sand, then it will really come up. But yeah, it's to get it there. Just unfortunately, they're probably going a bit crazy with the copper, and not sort of dealt with it in between. If you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how this was a lot heavier than what it was when it went in there. A heap heavier. Would have been actually interesting to weigh it at the start, and then weigh it when it come back, and then weigh it when I've finished sanding it. Because yeah, it's madness, the weight that's in it. But you know, we're gonna end up with freaking probably 60% of it on the floor, I reckon, of what they put on. Just about guarantee it. But it's all good. It's filling the problem, so I'm just gonna have to try and get it all off. But I don't need. Anyway, I'll keep going. Alrighty, so I broke through the copper here and it started peeling away. Now, I don't think that's even been fucking sandblasted underneath that. I don't know, it doesn't look like it, does it? Because it shouldn't be rusty in there either. I wonder if he even gave this a half decent sandblast before they even put it in the tank. It makes me fucking wonder. Just with the piss poor, just with this stupid shit, like, you know, just letting it build up and build up and build up and hanging off it without trying to clean it back to some degree. Like, I'm pretty sure somebody that was half decent chroma wouldn't have done that. So yeah, I don't know if this has fucking even been, you know, sanded or sandblasted or media blasted before it even went in the tank. I know it was pretty bad, it was pretty pitted. I'd cleaned it up a couple of times with some anti-fucking rust stuff, but it really needed sandblasted properly, and like, then you would have put it in the tank straight away. But I wonder if he's even fucking done that. I bloody wonder, because I wouldn't have imagined you would have seen that sort of colour underneath. You know, it would have been clean, shiny steel. I don't know, it's hard to tell whether that's copper build-up or just rust and then it hasn't stuck to it properly because it's been flaking away. I'm just trying to DA it back to get it smooth again from where I've been attacking it with the grinder. Like, there still needs material come off here, so that's why I haven't got too fussy, but yeah, it's like even running over with the DA, there's like just little bits flaking off. So it's like, you know, if you're going to do a job, fucking do it properly. It just makes me wonder with all that sort of half rusty look on the inside. You know, like in here, like it shouldn't be tarnishing like that. Like, I don't know how long you said it been sitting around, you know. Like, I wouldn't have thought there would have been, you know, rust like that. You think you would have put it in a sandblast and then put it in some sort of bath to, you know, neutralise the steel before you had started coppering it. I don't know the exact process, you know. I'm not an expert on it, but I'm just logically thinking, you know, I can imagine that's kind of what they would do, I'd imagine. You know, that would be really cleaned up, so it was as clean as it possibly could be, and then it would be treated, you know, or even acid dipped for a start off, and then neutralised and washed down, and then coppered, so it was dead clean, so it couldn't rust from in behind, and the shit would actually stick properly. Now, there's that much copper on there. It was sort of forced to hold together, but now that I've got it down thin, it's coming away. So I don't know. I'll keep going, but I think we're going to end up with a fucking disaster here. I really do. So I shouldn't be able to pick it away with my fingernail. I wouldn't have thought. If it was on there properly, you know, I don't know. I really don't know. But anyway, we'll carry on. Yeah, right. So I am about 6 hours into this fucking thing. As I said, I've had to use Flappy wheel on a grinder, DA, die grinders, you name it, to try and get this down to a level. I've broken through in a couple of spots. It doesn't even look like it's been freaking prepared properly. It looks like it's rust underneath, but it's still so thick that I still haven't broken through, got rid of all the pitting that was in it that's been built up with the copper, because it was very badly, heavily pitted, this thing. It is flattening out, but my God, has this taken some work, and I'm still not even close to being finished. You can see on my grinding marks I'm trying to DA out now, but there's still pitting in it, because I've been swapping between the DA and the grinder just to try and get back enough bit and try and keep it reasonably level. Like I've hardly even touched this side of it. It's just fucking mental. I've gone overboard, and it's going to make life absolute garbage, and I don't even know if it's decent underneath. So it's probably going to fall off. This is the copper I've taken off this thing. And that's just the shit that the rough sweep up I've had around the floor. Right, morning guys. So welcome back to NZ Marko Kustoms. So I'm part way through this video, and I've pretty much caught up with everything to be edited. So the last video that's out is basically the one behind this one. So yeah, we're still working on this radiator grill surround. I've actually just clamped the device on that brownie wooden bench that's over here with the paint gear, and I'll put a stick underneath the end of it, so I can kind of get round it a bit better than the panel stand. I found it was a wee bit awkward. It's quite good there, but it's kind of awkward because the panel stand gets in the road, whereas I popped it up here. I'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, we'll get on with this. We'll keep cleaning this bloody thing up. I've actually screwed this piece of timber in here, which is sitting on a box. I just put a screw in there and put a bit of tension on it, just so I can get around it a bit easier and get down into here without having to bump into shit all the time. So I'll try and get this side cleaned up, and if I want to wiggle it around a little bit, I can with this twisty turny vise. But I think it'll be pretty good, you know. I'm sort of halfway cleaned up around here. It's not too bad. Like we can spin it around and whatever to finish this up a wee bit later. But it's pretty good around here. Like it needs a little bit of finishing, but I'd like to try and get this other side and that done, and just get this side sort of back to the point where we haven't got any pitting in it that you can see here. Try and get rid of everything. And at least see if this is going to be able to be used in the way that it's been done. But I don't think we're actually going to send it back to the same guys to be finished off, if you know what I mean. I think we're going to send it to somebody else up country, but which is a bit disappointing. Like we're trying to support local people, but I just think that the way they've done this is a little bit half-assed, if you know what I mean. And yeah, like it could have been a lot easier to clean up if they had sort of done a couple of 3 coats and even just given it a rough sand back, another couple of 3 coats of rough sand back. They would have put hardly half the amount of shit on it, and it probably would have been a lot nicer result. You know, we wouldn't have had all the build up on it, and like, you know, we don't know how much more we've actually got to take off to make it fit, because the radiator's got to come through here too. Like it's the grill bars, if you know what I mean. The radiator is part of it, so we've got to make sure that still fits. So we're going to have to clean a lot of this crap out of here and make sure it's not too thick and rubbing and all those sorts of things. So there's a lot of clean up yet in places where you didn't think you would have to clean up, if you know what I mean. It could have been easily just tidied up each time. But it's alright, we'll get there. So I'll start with the flappy disc on the grinder again and pull a bit more of this off, and we'll go from there, I guess. you can see like some wire string. I just put that on there, just try and stop it from moving around too much, because I could put a little bit of tension in this just to help try and stop that sideways movement. Then I'll panel file. Obviously I will come back to the DA. I'm very tempted to take this steel bracket off, because I've actually noticed, while I've been standing and staring at it here, there's some freaking pinholes in it. So obviously when they had it acid dipped or whatever, there's some pinholes showing up in it, which kind of pissed me off. So they've like just dipped it, and having said, oh, there's some pinholes in this, do you want to fill them up? So I might have to try and fix that as well. There's a couple, one here, it's on the lip. There's one hole through the shell on the outside here. There's a couple around here behind this bracket bit. So if I'm hoping that if I just clean it up on the inside, I might be able to just fill them and then just body fold, where it's needed. And just try and clean it up best I can. So it's a bit of a pain in the frickin' arse. I didn't notice until now, just a wee while ago. I'll carry on panel filing, but yeah, at some point I'll have to grind the copper away and then try and fill them. People are really just, I don't know. It would have been nice to know. They could have said, oh, well, there's a few pinholes in this thing. Do you want to fill them before we start copper coating it, or do you want us to tack them up, or, But anyway, I'll keep panel filing. Hopefully it'll stay half steady for me now. Where's the panel file there? Pop all these rivets out for that main steel bracket, because I think I can actually get this a little bit of shape in here better. I can do a little bit of panel beating on it, and I think I'll take this piece off too. At least then I can actually clean these pieces up a bit better, and then I can rivet them back on. because I wasn't always 100% happy with this, and I can reshape this, get this fit better, and we can bolt it. I can bolt it back to the chassis, and I can do a couple more test fits. Listen, just see if we can get this all out, and I can straighten all this out and get it all nice and clean. And at least then, if we do get it more dipped, to maybe fill up any last imperfections, because I think there's going to be a few that haven't been quite got enough in there. But if I do a little bit of panel beating, I might be able to get them. You know, push the little pieces, because it's a bit low in here and stuff like that. So if I can get it out a little bit. But it's starting to come up. But again, like, there's still some pitting in here. But I haven't broken through to steel here yet, so I could probably take more off. But I think if I can get these brackets out of the road, the main two, well, there is a couple around here, but they don't really interfere. At least I can clean them up and get all the crap off them that's not meant to be there. You know, and then when it gets the last copper dip in the nickel plate, well, it's not going to matter then, like they'll be all cleaned up and back on there properly. But yeah, I think it'd be better off out of the road, and we can just get a bit of shape better in there, and I can make that bracket fit better. I can heat it up and just make it fit better. You know, I had it pretty good, but there's a couple of spots that I just wasn't 100% happy with through here. I think this sort of needs to go in a little bit and weave it shape around, so we might get that out of the road, I think. And carry on from there. So it'll be a little more awkward to hold, but it doesn't matter much. We can work around that. But it's going to come up, and hopefully we don't have any stupid issues. But hopefully another couple of coats. Once it's, you know, we've got it all cleaned up, you know, and then the nickel, it should be pretty good. It's coming. Like, it's a damn sight better than the pitted mess that it was for start off. It's just, oh wait, then it's made it really awkward to clean up. So we'll get it cleaned up and get these brackets off. I wasn't going to, but yeah, I was talking to Arco, and he said, yeah, it would probably pay to get them out of the road. At least we can straighten it out properly. You know, I can get in here and fix these bits of rust. I can give it a really bloody good clean up on the inside as well. So I'll get that out of the road as well. At least then I can clean these bits up properly, and we can clean all these edges up and make sure it's sound, because you can see where it's, you know, in here. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but that doesn't make me very happy. That's like that on the inside, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think we'll get all that shit out of the road, and we can at least straighten all these bits out a bit better, and go from there. And I've got plenty of, we've got these rivets which are a bit big, but kind of the same sort of thing, and we've got some of these smaller ones too. I'm just not sure, otherwise we'll go find some. Those ones, well, yeah, these kind. And we've got these smaller ones which might be closer. They might be a bit short though too, I'm not sure. Yeah, they're a bit thicker actually, they need a bigger head, but you know, we'll sort something out. We'll sort something out. One of these will work, or we'll make something, or, but yeah, I think it just needs to come out. At least we can tackle some of these other issues. Get these holes welded up, whatever. That didn't realise, obviously they might have sandblasted or something, but it's obviously been left somewhere wet, which kind of annoys me. I'm hoping that copper on the other side of it's okay, if you know what I mean. And it's gonna keep holding for, you know, a long time instead of breaking out with rust. You know, even if it's sitting in a shed, you know, if it's got rust behind it, it'll break out. So it's, yeah, we'll see what happens. All this, the coating on the back, it's never been clean in the back. It's just all falling off. As soon as I touched it with the, well, that, to give it a clean up where this was. It just all started flaking off, so I just run down there and it just flaked off. Got around here, even worse, just peeled off. So it's like it's never been, you can see here, it's never been cleaned up properly, and it pisses me off because it's taken me friggin' hours to get to this point. And you know, like, who knows what's on the other side. I'm going to take this off, panel beat it, and yeah, might, I don't know. It shouldn't, you know, it should have been cleaned up properly. It looks like it may have been, kinda, but that's me frickin' running the Scotch Brite over it too, so I probably cleaned half the shit off it, if you know what I mean. Like, surely they would have, I don't know, frickin' sandblasted it or acid dipped it or something, so the steel was clean. I drilled all the rivets out, obviously to get the last of that one out. So I got that out of the road, so I can panel beat this a bit better in here, just get it right. Yeah, and I'm going to take this off, and I was like, I seen this was all flaky, so yeah, I started running over it with that Scotch Brite wheel on that cordless grinder, and she's just peeled off straight away. As soon as I touched it, it just fell off. You can see the rusting behind, so they definitely won't be getting it back. But, you know, the time that I've spent trying to get this right on the other side to get it this far, because they had so much shit on it, and it probably really needs to come off. It probably really needs to come off, be de-coppered and cleaned up and done again. It probably really does. It was just frickin' fries my ass. Yeah, it was. It's so hard to give something a decent clean up, you know. It made me suspicious, all that sort of rusting. I thought, oh, maybe just had a bit of water float around in there, and you know, at some point after it had been pulled out, it might have got a bit damp or something when they washed it down or something. You know, but it's obviously never been prepped in the back of here, and it's just peeling off. So it's like this on that side. What's it like on the other side? Is it going to be the same in 6 months, 12 months time? Anyway. Righty. So, yeah, we end up getting that shell redone. We're too worried that it's going to peel off the outside too, because it hasn't been done properly on the inside, so what's it like on the other side? So, we're not going to take it back to the same place. They can go get, they had their chance. But yeah, the next closest place is the place called Geraldine, which is quite a bit up the South Island. And it's a 3-month waiting list at the moment, so we're booked in. So I need to get all the pieces that need to be nickeled sorted. So the headlights are sorted, I just need the brackets back for them so I can put them together and they can be nickeled all together. And I need to get these finished. Need to get the inner door handles sorted. I've got all them, but so they need to be nickeled. The pull handles for the bonnet hold downs, hood hold downs, they need to be done. Yeah, and I need to think about what else. I'm going to have a look at some pictures and just see what else needs done. Because basically, we're going to give ourselves about probably a month, I guess, and take the stuff up there. So that gives me some time to sort some of those pieces out. We should better get hopefully the rest of it all together. But yeah, we just won't be able to put obviously the grill, the radiator, and those sorts of things on, which is a bit of a pain. It'd be nice to be able to get that all on. So I've got that bracket straightened up. Bring that here on. So I've got that bracket straightened up, and I've just got to have it on with some bolts at the moment. I've still got to fit it back on the car, make sure it's square. So I started hunting for the bolts and bits and pieces there earlier on, so I need to find them probably Saturday or something like that. But yeah, it's just all the shit's coming off. It's not good. I've fixed the holes. There's some holes in it that I've found. Obviously they found, and just whatever they did to it, they didn't clean it properly. They've probably blown those holes in it, hadn't said anything. So yeah, but I've got them sorted now. I'll obviously give it a bit, well, I probably don't need to give it any more of a clean up, because they'll copper it and then re-copper it, I guess. So yeah, now that I've got this all fitting, once I know it's all fitting, probably need to have a talk to them and just see whether we're going to go through the same process or whether they're going to do it. But it's a bit of a pain, because it really needs to be off so they can nickel it or copper it properly, sand all this so it's all nice and smooth, and then put the rivets back in for these pieces, and then it needs to be with the final, if you know what I mean, because you can't put that on and rivets on and then, you know, copper nickel them without the rivets in. It needs to be all done as one piece. So we'll need to have a quick talk to them about that, see whether they want us to leave that off, because it's badly pitted. You know, we want to take that off, as much as it's been a pain in the ass, you know, and I've got it close. But with that stuff coming off there, it's not worth the effort. It's not worth it. So you need to get all these other bits sorted, and we'll put them in a box or something like that, and we'll take them up and get it done. But yeah, that's going to be at least 3 months before this stuff can be done. So yeah, it's a bit of a pain, but you know, I should be having the majority of the car to get it. But I need to just go through and work out what else needs to be nickeled, apart from the obvious stuff that I know of. Just bound to be other little bits and pieces, so I need to go through. There'll be the trims, go around for the door handles on this side, on the outside. Be those. I've got a few of those, I need to find them all. So yeah, there's lots of little pieces like that. Probably what I need to do is sit down and have to look at some photos and just work out what needs to be done. Like there's a pull handle for the park brake, emergency brake, whatever you want to, e-brake, whatever you want to call it. So the handle for that. So yeah, I need to write myself a little list and just work out what needs to be done, and then go through and get all that stuff finished, amongst polishing all this stuff up and getting it back together. And hopefully we get those bits for that gearbox soon. I need to chase that, but yeah, again. But anyway, I was hoping they would just say, oh yeah, it's done, and we'll come and get it, but they haven't. But anyway, so it's kind of where we're at. Pain in the fucking ass, because I spent so much time trying to get that right on the outside, and then thought, shit, no, I'll pull that off, because that was annoying me. It wasn't right. I almost took it off originally, but I didn't. I wish I did. But you know, I've hammered and dollied this out now, so at least it's better. Straighten this out a little bit better. It just fits in there, and you can put the bolts through on it. You know, you're not having to fight anything, it's not moving anything. We just need a test fit again, just make sure it's sitting there properly before we commit to having that where it sits. But all the holes line up. You know, I didn't have to really fight to put those bolts in, so that's cool. And obviously I've got to finish getting the rivets out of here for this one here, the little bracket. So yeah, I've been doing a little bit of work on that too, just cleaning it up and whatever. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So I think I'll leave it at that today. Pain in the ass, because I got just about a full video on that, and it's been a complete waste of time. Almost. Apart from you know, discovering a few things, and then just, yeah, it's unfortunately they just did a piss poor fucking job, and it's annoying because there is like they're locally here, like they're only, you know, in Invercargill. They're the only ones in Invercargill, but you know, they just seem to do stupid stuff, you know, like you give them the opportunity to try and do a good job. You know, if they'd done a good job this time, you know, I might have taken more stuff to them if I needed to, you know, but yeah, I wouldn't take your frickin' cat bowl, you know, to get in the frickin' chroma. So, yeah, it's a shame, because I know my mate from 65 is going to get some stuff done there too, but I might tell him to frickin' take it somewhere else too. Because if that's what they're going to do to his stuff, well, you know, he's going to be pissed off too. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Cheers, guys. Also, yeah, thanks for watching. Yeah, thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell, all those sorts of things. Go over and see the boys at Ironhead Garage if you haven't, and Arco at Outlaw Ridge. Be much appreciated. So yeah, if you got this far, please like, share, subscribe, and go see those other boys. And there's a whole list of other channels that are people that I regularly watch and got awesome channels down below. So be much appreciated. Thanks, guys.